I did it again, boys. I woke up this morning and I decided I'm gonna look at Facebook Marketplace. You know what happens when you decide to go and look at Facebook Marketplace? You end up finding something you like. And today, for some reason, I decided it was a good idea to buy another car. So that's what we're gonna do. We just bought a new truck, we just bought a house. We're almost done building the Turbo Civic, and we're about to build Colton's Evo, but I decided I want a winter beater again. Last year we had the Beater WRX. This year we got the truck. And I honestly think this thing is just too nice to be a winter beater. But it's not only that, this thing is way too expensive on fuel. So we need something cheaper. So we got a jack loaded in the box. We got jack stands in the back and we got tools. Let's go grab us a U-Haul trailer and let's go buy us my Civic Subaru truck street bike. This is my 5th vehicle, if you include my street bike. This is a problem. But I need a beater daily. We already have a truck daily, and I'm gonna have a turbo daily, which is a Civic, but I need a beater daily for the snow, because I hate driving my cars in the winter. So I'd like to have a little clapped out POS to drive in the winter. I don't know if that's just me, or if you guys do that too, but I just don't like driving nice cars. I don't know what it is. I like pieces of shit. So usually when I do this kind of stuff, I use my dad's truck and my dad's trailer. So this is kind of a cool moment for me. I'm using my own truck to go pick up my own car, and I'm renting a U-Haul because I don't have my own trailer, but one day we will have one. So originally I wasn't gonna make this video or film it at all. I was just gonna do this in the background of the channel, and it's just like, it's a personal thing. But I thought this would be fun, and I thought that this kind of like truly shows who I am and what I do and what I enjoy doing. And I enjoy driving and fixing piece of shit cars. I don't know what it is, it's just fun for me. So the Subaru is built, the Honda is gonna be built. There's still lots of stuff to do on that Honda, but it is pretty much gonna be done. I say that term very, very loosely, saying it's gonna be done. Then we're moving on to Colton's Evo build, but I really do not want to drive this truck all throughout the winter because it is such a freaking pig on fuel. You guys probably already know by me having to go get a trailer, this car does not drive. She needs some work. I paid $1,000 Canadian, which is about 700 bucks US for this car. Because the funniest part about this is I reached out to this guy on Messenger, and this is probably one of the first time this has happened to me, but he actually watches my videos conveniently, which is super cool. So let's go get the U-Haul, let's go get this thing, load it up, and get it home. I'm excited. I don't know why I'm excited, because this is not a nice car. It's just fun. I just like pieces of shit. Let's go. We got this U-Haul hooked up so damn fast, I didn't even have time to whip out the camera. But it's just a single car hauler trailer. I would have grabbed my dad's trailer, but honestly, this U-Haul cost me 50 bucks. So like, why not? It's in town, it's so close, that's cheap. So now we're at 1,050 bucks for this car. I'm factoring that into the cost. This thing's actually super clean. So what do you got here? We got some wheels.
We got, these are the original ones that came on.
Tires are clapped right out.
This is the only good tire. But that.
Oh yeah, no, that's done.
Yeah, this one's done though.
So this is just a whole bunch of different random wheels.
Yeah, there's these ones.
So there's 2 sets of wheels here.
There's 2 sets of wheels, one on the car. I'm missing a wheel. I don't know where it went.
Oh, you got 3 of these, yeah. And then only one of those?
Here's the Speed 3 wheel. I think these are the Speed 3 ones.
Yeah, so there's 3 of those, and then 4 of those.
Yeah.
So there's 1 wheel missing somewhere.
There's 1 wheel missing somewhere.
All right, well, we can load these guys up, and then let me know if you can find the other one. These tires are just asking for a blowout, man. How do you lose 1 wheel?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Like, he's driving this. Out of all the cars that I have ever owned, never did I ever think I would buy a freaking Mazda Protege. Let's get this thing loaded up, because that front ball joint is blown out and that tire is hitting the fender. So this is gonna be an event. We got her loaded up, boys. That ball joint popped out like 5 times, and it is dark outside, and my hands are like barely moving because it's so cold out. The straps for the trailer don't work because this thing's so dirt nasty low. It's on Raceland coilovers, and it's hitting the front of the U-Haul. So we got some dirt bike straps on the front. We're gonna see if this holds on. She is a 2002 Mazda Protege. The plan with this car is it's just gonna be like a daily beater for the winter. It needs a few things. It needs front control arms. It needs apparently calipers. The mechanic mechanic at the shop said it needs calipers in the front. We'll get her fixed. I don't know if I'm gonna do a build series on this yet. I said that with the Civic and now we're boosting it, but this is actually a daily. Like this car is staying stock. I might straight pipe it. Now I'm already talking about mods, but I don't want to do anything to this car. This thing is just to get me back and forth to my 9-to-5 job because I live 8 kilometers from work and I don't like starting this big old 6-liter just to drive to work for 8 kilometers because it doesn't even get up to temp by the time I get to work. So it's just a waste of fuel. So this thing will be perfect. And this guy gave it to me for $1,000. Yep. So we're gonna see if it's worth it or not. I appreciate it, dude. Thanks for going down on the price so much. You had this thing on Marketplace for how much?
$2,000.
$2,000.
Yeah.
And I got it for $1,000 because it needed, this shop quoted him like $800 for all the work that needed to get done. And that wasn't even all of it. That was just to get it safe for the road. So it did need a lot more work. It needs an out-of-province inspection. There's a lot of stuff it needs. But I'm excited. This should be fun. Oh God. I am gonna have to just get rid of it. That got a little stuck. Yeah, this got the front bumper pretty good. Day one with a $1,000 car and we already ripped the front bumper off of it. Now it really looks like a $1,000 car. But this thing, you guys, honestly is stupid clean for $1,000. It is way too low, but it's on raceline coilovers, so I am definitely gonna raise it up. But on the driver's side of the car, there's virtually no rust. Like it's just starting, and for a Protege, that's crazy. The tailgate has like no rust on it whatsoever, which is also crazy. And then the right rear quarter is definitely starting to rust. But I don't care because it's a $1,000 daily beater.
1 week later.
I bought a car for $1,000. Was it worth it? Let's find out. I can't turn too much or else it's gonna pop the bumper right now.
Great success.
Open the door! Oh no! I think the ball joint just popped out. Nice, the ball joint didn't even pop out. All right, let's get to work. So we got the car into the shop now, and this is gonna be our first test subject to lift on this hoist because I have not used it yet since I bought this place. So I'm kind of excited and scared at the same time to see what happens, but we got a laundry list of things to do on this car to get it back on the road. So we got the Steelies with winter tires from the Civic. We're gonna slap these onto this thing because those tires are absolutely done. Then we got both front lower control arms. We got an inner and outer CV boot for this thing with the clamps. We got a dash cam that we're gonna be installing. Probably not in this video, but we'll see. Then we gotta raise the coilovers on this thing because it is slammed right out after we fix the control arms. The e-brake doesn't work in this thing. It literally has zero tension whatsoever. You can just yank it all over the place. So I don't know if the cable snapped or needs to be adjusted or what, but we gotta figure that out. The factory radio doesn't work, but we are probably gonna be installing an iDoing head unit in this car. This interior is pretty gross for my liking. So I want to get the interior all cleaned up. We're gonna pull the seats out, steam clean everything, especially this trunk because this trunk is pretty greasy. We also need to figure out what's going on with the rear seatbelt pretensioners, get those fixed if we can, because we definitely need those to pass an out-of-province inspection. Then another thing that is pretty messed up on this car is all of the window seals are completely busted off, all the belt moldings. This door seems like someone pried on it pretty good to get into the car. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do with this yet. It just needs to get pushed in order to seal better. So I'm not sure if this whole door is bent or what happened there, but that's gonna be one of the last things we figure out because the door does work, it shuts, it just doesn't seem like it's 100% sealed. So the first 2 or 3 things that we're gonna start with is the control arm so that we can get this thing mobile and not being scared the ball joints are gonna pop it out whenever we wanna move the car. And then this quarter panel is pretty messed up. You can see it's all bent out and it's literally gonna eat into the tire when you turn. So I'm gonna get that hammered back straight with a rubber mallet. Might have to use the fender roller a little bit just to reshape it. But let's get this thing on the hoist. And first off, make sure our hoist works. This is cool. This is the first time I've ever had my own lift in my own car in the air in my own shop. So now that we got this thing in the air, let's take a look underneath it and see how bad it really is. This is obviously bad because I destroyed the front bumper. But coming underneath, under the engine, there is not a single leak. It looks like the rear main might be starting to sweat there, but this thing's freaking bone dry underneath. A little bit of a leak on the transmission there, but that is because that axle popped out of the diff, so we might need a new axle seal there. But walking underneath this thing, like, it's actually not that rusty. It is looking pretty good. Even the driver's floor isn't rusted out, which I know is a really big problem on these things. Brake lines look super clean. This was a BC car, so that is probably why there's not much rust. Although the rear sway bar links are completely snapped. Holy shit. Somebody cut those. Those are not snapped. Oh, we found our first rust culprit. The rear crash bar is pretty crusty. Someone saw that on an inspection. That would probably fail and you would have to replace the rear bash bar, which is okay. That is something that can unbolt from the car and get replaced, so that's not that bad. But the rockers are super clean. We got some fresh Raceland coilovers on this thing, and they are completely slammed out. Why do people do this, man? If you look at the lock collars, there's no threads underneath. They are completely bottomed out. But now that we know all that, let's get this thing lowered down to my chest level. We'll get the wheels pulled off and let's start getting those front lower control arms taken off the car so we can get them replaced. Get the winter tires on. At least this thing is a roller at that point. We might fix the fender. I don't know. Let's just get to work. Everything is actually going not bad so far, but we found a couple new problems. We got the right front control arm replaced. I just got to put the outer ball joint bolt in still. I got to rethread the one that was in there. Then this brake caliper on the right front, you guys can see has a completely torn dust boot. That looks absolutely terrible. The caliper's not seized. I just compressed the piston, so the caliper is actually still good, but there's no way I'm gonna be able to get that dust boot individually, so I'm gonna have to replace the entire right front caliper, which isn't a big deal depending on how much it costs. Then the one thing that we did find that's positive, these front brake pads and rotors are brand new. As you can see, the rotors look relatively new and the pads have tons of material left on them. That's like 8 to 10 mil. So our front brakes are basically brand new. Then obviously we already showed before, the sway bar links were optional on this one. I got the axle out and looking at the axle seal, it actually did not get damaged at all when the axle popped out. So we're going to run a little bit of a risk and not replace that. And then we'll check it again in a little while and see if it leaks. We also got the left front control arm bolted up on both the inner mounting points. We just don't have the outer ball joint in because we still got to replace that axle. So the outer CV boot is completely torn open. It ripped. So we're gonna have to replace that. I got both the inner and outer. I paid about 19 bucks per boot. The axle is completely undamaged. The splines are still good on the inner and the circlip is good. And the splines on the outer portion of it are good too. And so are all the teeth on the tone ring. So this axle is completely usable. We're gonna get those CV boots popped off, disassemble the axle, make sure the CV joint is all okay. We're gonna re-grease everything, put CV boots on, and then that axle is gonna be going back in the car. Saves us about $120 by just buying 2 CV boots versus replacing an entire axle. The next thing on the list of front end parts is the front bumper. Also, check out these control arms real quick. First of all, the inner bushing is torn on this one. And then this ball joint just completely left the chat. And this one is completely screwed. I can't believe that one was even holding on. But she's got brand new ones now, boys. She's gonna be mint. We got the bumper all fixed back up. Looks like nothing ever happened. We got all 3 body clips back in the original positions, and you guys could see underneath our drift stitch job on this fender liner, but she is good as new, nice and secure. Next thing I want to mention is our wall of parts here that we have now. I ended up just going all out, and I want to make this thing a nice, safe daily driver. So we got rear rotors, rear pads, front sway bar links, rear sway bar links. We got both CV boots. We got both front brake calipers, an oil filter, some oil, and I got new bolts for the lower ball joints, which you guys can see right there. So this control arm on the passenger side is 100% installed now. All we gotta do on the passenger side now is get the caliper replaced, get the brakes all serviced up, and then we gotta raise the coilovers and replace that sway bar link. Because this one is definitely broken off, but the one on the driver's side actually looks relatively new, so I might not even replace that one, just to save an extra 30 bucks because budget build. So let's go through and try and bust out all this work in one night, starting at the front and working our way to the back. Well, I got the old links off, which is awesome on the rear, but the links that I got when I put them in and I hook them up to these raceline coils, it is literally hitting this lateral link right here. So I gotta get some shorter sway bar links. Well, we got more bad news with this frickin' car. At this point, boys, it is 110% confirmed. $1,000 beaters do not exist. At least to my standards, because I don't like driving vehicles with seized brake calipers unless you have a death wish. I was a little suspicious to begin with on the calipers on the rear of this thing, because this caliper, I can grab and move that little spring actuated piece for the park brake super easy. This caliper is good. I compress it, everything's good on it. The brake caliper on the left rear, I tried grabbing this and moving it. It's completely seized. I also can't compress that caliper piston right there. It is completely seized in place. So that means when you press your brakes, the left rear was doing absolutely nothing to stop the car. I checked the cable. The cable moves in and out good, so the cable's fine. It's this caliper that's seized, and I think that is partially why the park brake isn't working. But we got the proper size sway bar links now, and you guys can see there is a nice gap from the rear trailing arm. So those are perfect. The original sway bar links I got were 7.5 inch. These ones are 6.25. And I gotta get a new rear brake caliper for the left rear. But honestly, if I'm replacing the left rear caliper, I put 2 new calipers on the front, I'm putting one on the left rear, might as well replace the right rear. As long as we stay under the $2,000 mark for this car, I'm happy. $1,000 for the car, $1,000 in repairs, and this thing is mint. I ended up getting a little bit carried away and did a little bit of on the hoist wheel alignment. And then I went through and cleaned this entire trunk out so that she's nice and clean. And there is like no rust in this trunk, which is awesome because on these cars, these trunks are usually rusty as hell. Took the spare tire out, which is also amazing that this thing still has the spare tire. And now before we go ahead and replace that rear caliper, because it is the next day now, so I got a new rear caliper, I am gonna test fit the wheels for the Civic. Because I was talking to one of my buddies who used to drive a Protege, and he told me that the hub bore diameter on Mazdas is bigger than Honda's. It's like a 67 mil hub bore on the Mazda, and then like a 62 or something like that on the Honda. Not 100% sure, but let's test fit these. If these don't fit, this is gonna suck, because that means we gotta go buy tires. So hopefully they fit. Bolt pattern is the same, 5x114. Son of a dick. That is so ridiculously close. Oh, but it doesn't fit. That sucks. Well, guess we need to go buy tires now. All right, boys, we got a fresh, new to me set of Michelin X Ice tires on these Mazda wheels that we got that came with this car. They're not the original Protege wheels, but in my opinion, these ones looked better, even though they still look like crap. They're all corroded and gross, but it's a beater winter daily. So we're gonna put the two best ones on the front of the car right now, and then we gotta get that rear caliper replaced, and then I'm gonna drop the car on the ground just to check the ride height. Then we gotta bleed the brakes, and we're gonna have to do another ride height adjustment, I guarantee it. There we go, that's how they should fit. Ball joints are nice and tight now, baby. Let's go. We got some good winter tires and some OEM Mazda wheels. I like it. There we go. I went ahead and just got this left rear caliper replaced off camera, and we got both rear sway bar links in. There's a little adjustment screw on the back of the calipers that you need to back out before you can compress the piston in. That's for the e-brake adjustment. This one's backed all the way out, so we got the caliper on with the brand new pads and rotor. But on this side, the freaking adjustment screw, wherever it is, you can't even really see it, but it's in that hole above the boot. But there's a 4mm Allen key in there. You need to back out before you compress the piston. I already compressed the piston on the right rear, so I'm hoping I didn't wreck anything. And it's being a little sus because I'm trying to back it out with an Allen key and it's not really doing anything. And this wheel is super hard to move, and this wheel I don't have on yet, so I don't know. But I'm gonna get this wheel slapped back on. We're gonna drop the car, check the ride height, raise it up one more time, and then I'm gonna make whatever adjustments I need to the ride height, and then we're gonna bleed the brakes once we get it back in the air. This e-brake works. The brakes feel good, actually. These springs just go dong. Oh, that was a three-wheeler. No! Why is only one wheel spinning? This thing isn't LSD, that's open dip. Oh, that's not reverse. Winter tires suck. This is so fucking sketchy. Not bad. Oh my god, that window's slow. When I rev it, it goes up faster. Well, should we just send it like that, or should I get a new caliper? I think the e-brake would rip harder if I got a new caliper. The brakes are bled, everything works. I had to torch the piss out of the right rear brake caliper bleeder nipple to get it out. The first one actually snapped off, and then I pounded a socket on it, heated the shit out of it, went back and forth, pounded it with a hammer. We got that off somehow. Then I grabbed the other bleeder nipple out of the old caliper for the left rear. We did the same thing with that one, beat the shit out of it and heated it up like crazy. Bent it, and I put a bent bleeder nipple on the right rear caliper, so that's a little sus. But it doesn't leak. So now I either need a new bleeder nipple ripple for the right rear caliper or replace the whole caliper, because there's these adjustments on the back of the caliper for the e-brake. The left one is completely dialed and the e-brake locks right up when we pull it. The right one locks up, but it's not as good of tension because for some reason the screw, it's like the threads are stripped on the inside and it gets tight, and then as soon as you get tight, it'll get loose again, and then it'll just loose, and then tight, and then loose again. So it needs a new right rear caliper at the end of the day, but the e-brake's grabbing as is, and I know that caliper's not seized. It's just that adjustment thread is a little bit stripped. So the e-brake still rips, as we saw outside. The toe is way out on this thing and needs to be adjusted. The camber needs to be adjusted. My alignment that I did with that level is absolutely terrible. And then I think this thing is done. So I gotta decide if I'm gonna spend another 150 bucks on a right rear caliper just to have the e-brake rip a little bit more, or just send it. But I'm going to bed. It's late. This is like a 4-day project at this point.